It is March 31st, 2021, 1:51. All things are echoes of the voice for God. So I wanted to use the idea of echoes. Now, recently I've been having a lot of past life transgressions, and that's what it feels like, right? They would say if we had past lives, they would all be occurring at the same time as this time, because it's always what was, is, and has been, and will be. When we look at the beginning of the universe, we look at how the quantum influx, this ball of energy, if you want to call it, exploded, right? We relate that to the Bible. First there was the Word, right? And even astrophysicists, or don't even get me started on like how they're trying to explain it, but you're looking at the idea of maybe like a perfect crystal, okay? And it breaks because it's coming from a higher dimension, right? So it comes down into its fourth dimension and it breaks perfectly imperfect, okay? So that's how we get to Earth. And Earth becomes this stage for us to grow, right? We have this fourth dimension being guiding us because it was trying to come down to the fourth dimension. So this is the avatar that we chose to make that possible, okay? So we chose our character for our Super Mario World. And again, we are learning that spiritual progression is not by our own doing, but by the grace of God. So when we are understanding the surrender state of consciousness opens a vertical dimension in your life, the dimension of depth, okay? We're looking at the ability to go up, okay? So that's why they do the chakras, where, you know, you have the crown chakra that opens up to the world. And then the eighth one that's like above that, and then they would say there was like 20, 60, whatever, okay? So the most important thing that we have to understand is our piece here, okay? Because that's the most important thing. I maybe spoke about this the day before, about whatever we're holding on to before we die, that's what we're going to take, right? So we go into this Bardo realm, and it's almost like a dream, right? You have to be able to go through the whole entire dream conscious. And it's a difficult task. Like, you try to do that like for your regular dream, it's almost like, what are you trying to do? So when you hold on, you have an attachment, that's why we always come back, right? There's people that come back to teach, and then it's basically based on your own guilt, okay? Because that's what we're taken to, right? The cross, to, be crucified. So the most important thing is when we are understanding that the voice of God is always resonating, it's echoing, right? They say like the Big Bang is still echoing, if you really want to call it that. So when you look at these moments that you look at your guilt, right? You're being crucified and this is your resurrection. You judge. You can't judge because now you are coming from a place that you see yourself in the world, okay? Now it's being completely reflected in front of your face. And there's no doubt in your mind that you can't see, okay, right? So now you're making the conscious decision to keep choosing that, if that makes sense. Because if you don't allow yourself to make that conscious decision over and over and over and over again, then you're not allowing yourself to have a relationship with life, which is the present moment. So, these decisions can change your life completely, right? You change your whole reality, right? So once you become friendly, right? When you're forgiving, when you are accepting, you start getting into love, okay? And you want to keep making these decisions, especially as you're being present, to make it natural, Okay, so it's a constant decision and conscious decision to continuously be present. So you have to wake up every single time. So it's like you're catching yourself. You wake up when something happens. You wake up before you do something. When someone asks you something, right? So like whenever you're going to do something or something happens, you wake up before you make a decision, because that's where you're coming from in reaction. Reaction is the most difficult part, because when you're entangled with form, right? We can talk about the Greek philosophers who talk about form, this in which the Course in Miracles says, like, it's not real. Like, you look at that and it's like, it's not real. It's like only like 1% matter. So when you look at form and you are holding on to that, that's because you're in your lowest body, right? Like lower in the physical body than we have like our three bodies. So that's why we have this, waking, sleep, deep sleep states where, and then they all combine when we have these blissful moments, right, that we're truly present. Then we have to see where like our light is trying to shine, okay? And sometimes it just completely just blocks or something like that. And you have to learn how to relax your body. You have to learn how to open yourself up emotionally, right? Because when you're working with the emotional, you're working with the energetic. So if it's, like a lot of these emotions, that's the energy that you're emanating out. And that's basically what you would call your level of consciousness. So getting to a point that we're now understanding where we're at, okay? Now we understand that we have like these tiers, right? We have these what would tiers, like levels, okay? So like before you can get to this level, you have to go through this process of like working out each level before you get to the second tier. That's when you start self-actualizing, right? You start seeing everybody's their own different person, and they all fit in the same place, right? And then you get to a more holistic, systematic understanding. It's like Gandhi and MLK, and like you are seeing how love is a powerful vibration when it comes to that. So as you are raising this joy coming from you, like the Dalai Lama, right? You're emanating this joy that comes out, then that's what's going to manifest in the world as that power. So when we look at the punishment that you're trying to give to yourself, especially with this guilt, because again, you can only hold so much in this world, right? It's perfectly imperfect, right? We came right here, can't tilt this because we'll burn or freeze. And this punishment, it's a false sense of security, right? This punishment is something that you believe, right? You may believe you're a piece of shit, whatever it may be, okay? And having that, I guess, voice of God be the judge, it allows you to see where there's like a hidden doubt that that's not true, right? There's always like this, loving parent that will always, no matter what you do, like, it's not true, right? Like, whatever you say about yourself, like, only you're saying that, but it's not true. So when you are honoring this ability to not doubt yourself, right? Because you can't doubt yourself. Like, now you have integrated everything, okay? Because you can try to drop your level of consciousness and, it will show up in the world, right? If you are deliberately trying to hurt yourself, maybe like with really bad habits, then you will create damage to your consciousness, right? You are deliberately blacking out, right? It's not, you're really much in the pain body, and it's going to be very difficult to even find the sinlessness, right? It is possible, but that's how you allow yourself to do that, because as you give that ability to see the purity in sin, right? The ability to see love beyond hate, the constancy in change, and heaven's blessing, right? It's a choice. Then you start to see how, like, this frame of reference that God is speaking from, right? Like, my mind only holds what I think with God, because that's what God is trying to manifest through you. You reinterpret everything you see, right? Everything that is occurring, all the circumstances, all the experiences, right? Everything that happens to touch you, right? You're now seeing it redeemed, joyfully released from the guilt.